a worn-out jacket, faded shoes, and an old sedan parked outside the bank. No one imagined the quiet elderly man carried a $5 million check. But the branch manager didn't even look at the amount. She looked at him, smiled with contempt, and ripped the check into pieces in front of everyone. Phones came out. People laughed. The old man calmly picked up one torn piece and slipped it into his pocket. Then he said, "You just made the costliest mistake of your career." She mocked him and threatened to call security. He simply replied, "Go ahead, but ask your regional director to come too." Within minutes, the entire atmosphere inside the bank would change forever. 70-year-old Nathan Cole had never cared about expensive clothes or flashy cars. He came to Riverside Federal Bank for one simple task: deposit the check and return home before sunset. He had no idea this ordinary visit was about to change several lives forever. Nathan parked his aging silver sedan outside the branch and sat quietly for a moment before stepping out. The leather folder beside him held a check worth $5 million, the result of selling part of a company he had helped build over 30 years. Wealth had never changed the way he lived. He still wore the same simple clothes, drove the same old car, and preferred a peaceful life over attention. As he entered Riverside Federal Bank, a few customers glanced at his worn jacket before looking away. At the reception desk, branch manager Melissa Grant noticed him instantly. Without asking a single question, she judged him by his appearance. A young teller named Liam copied her expression with a quiet smirk, while another new employee, Sophie, felt something wasn't right. Nathan patiently waited at the counter, unaware that a simple bank visit was about to become the biggest test of his dignity. After nearly 10 minutes, Nathan finally stepped to the counter and gently placed the leather folder in front of Melissa. "I'd like to deposit this into my account," he said politely. She opened the folder, glanced at the check for a second, then shifted her eyes back to his faded coat. "Where exactly did you get this kind of money?" she asked with a doubtful smile. Nathan calmly explained that it came from the sale of a long-term investment, and even offered to let the bank verify it immediately. Instead of checking, Melissa demanded multiple IDs and examined each one as if she expected to find a fake. Customers nearby began whispering, and Liam quietly joked that people often tried scams before closing time. Nathan remained composed. "Please call the issuing bank," he said. "One phone call will confirm everything." But Melissa had already decided she wasn't going to believe him. Melissa folded her arms and ignored his request. "We don't verify suspicious checks just because someone asks," she said loudly enough for nearby customers to hear. The whispers quickly spread across the lobby. A man waiting in line even pulled out his phone to record. Sophie, the new teller, quietly suggested, "It would only take a minute to call the issuing bank." Melissa shot her a cold look. "Go back to your station," she snapped. Nathan stood silently, refusing to argue. Years of experience had taught him that anger only made people feel justified in their assumptions. "You're judging me without knowing a single thing about me," he said calmly. Melissa smirked, lifted the check from the folder, and waved it in the air. "This doesn't belong to someone who walks and dressed like you," she declared, as the entire lobby fell silent and every eye turned toward them. Nathan looked at the customers recording the scene, then back at Melissa. "You're making a serious mistake," he said quietly. Instead of listening, she laughed, gripped the check with both hands, and tore it straight down the middle. Gasps filled the lobby as she ripped it again into smaller pieces and tossed them at his feet. "People like you don't carry £5 million, she said with a smug smile. Nathan calmly bent down, picked up one small piece, and placed it inside his pocket. "That paper was genuine," he replied. "And you've just created a problem far bigger than you realize." Melissa immediately called security, claiming the elderly man was refusing to leave. As the guards started walking toward them, The bank's glass doors opened. A sharply dressed executive stepped inside, froze the moment he saw Nathan, and his face turned completely pale. The executive rushed across the lobby before anyone could speak. "Mr. Cole, I'm terribly sorry," he said, extending both hands with obvious respect. The room fell silent. Melissa stared in disbelief as the guard immediately released Nathan's arm. "Do you know this man?" she asked nervously. The executive turned toward her, his expression hardening. "Know him? Mr. Nathan Cole is one of this bank's most valued clients, and a major investor in our upcoming partnership." Every phone in the lobby kept recording. Melissa's confidence disappeared instantly. She glanced at the torn check scattered across the marble floor, finally realizing what she had done. Nathan remained calm. "I asked for one simple phone call," he said. "Instead, you judged me before you even looked at the facts." No one in the branch dared say another word as the truth finally caught up with them. Within hours, videos from the bank had spread across social media. The footage showed an elderly man being humiliated over his appearance before the truth came out. The bank immediately suspended Melissa and launched a formal investigation. Sophie was praised for being the only employee who questioned what was happening instead of following the crowd. Nathan never celebrated anyone's downfall. He simply requested that every customer be treated with fairness, regardless of their clothes, age, or background. A few weeks later, he returned to the same branch. This time, every employee welcomed him with respect before asking a single question. As he completed his deposit, Nathan smiled and quietly said, "Real character isn't revealed when life is easy. It's revealed by how you treat someone who seems to have nothing." Sometimes the greatest wealth isn't money, it's the patience to let the truth speak for itself.